Hello, welcome to my channel. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great stories. Do all those things with the short after you hear it. If you love creepypastas, please consider supporting me on a platform where I publish extra bonus episodes. So follow me on social media to get updates when new videos come out. Thank you all so much. The rain was coming down in sheets. Wind buffeted the old stone house and rattled the window panes like the glass was thin as tissue paper. The gnarled branches of the ancient oak tree scraped against the house like the talons of some gigantic petrified bird. It was the kind of night that made a person want to curl up on the couch with a cup of hot cocoa and a good movie. But that wasn't what Mara was doing. She stood at the foot of the creaking porch stairs, clutching the wrought iron railing, staring up at the dilapidated Victorian-style manor that had been in her family for generations. Lightning flashed, momentarily turning the peeling paint and rotting wood a sickly shade of green. The house looked back at her, a malevolent silhouette leering through the trees. Mara had grown up hearing stories about her aunt's house, stories that always ended with her parents shaking their heads and murmuring, "Don't ever go there." Aunt Eliza had died when Mara was just a baby, leaving behind no known heirs except for Mara. Rumor had it that Aunt Eliza had been a bit eccentric, living in the house alone, with nothing but her cats and her records. Then one day, the power had gone out and never come back on. No one had dared enter the house until now. After the storm, the sun broke through the clouds and painted everything in a golden light. Birds sang sweetly in the trees, and the world smelled fresh and clean. Mara took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. Her aunt's house looked deceptively idyllic from the road. But once she stepped onto the overgrown path leading to the front door, the dreamlike atmosphere was shattered. The chipped paint on the doorframe was peeling away to reveal the rotting wood beneath. Vines and weeds pushed through cracks in the concrete, choking the flower beds and creeping up the sides of the house like grasping claws. The brass doorknob was cool under her touch, but when she tried to open the door, it wouldn't budge. A shiver raced down her spine as she realized she was going to have to force the door open. With a deep breath, she put her shoulder to it and pushed. The door swung inward, revealing a cavernous hall filled with dust motes dancing in the sliver of sunlight that pierced the gloom. Mara entered cautiously. As she walked further into the hall, she could hear the floorboards creaking under her weight. Overhead, something scuttled in the attic above. In the flickering light, she saw what looked like a length of tattered wallpaper peeling away from the wall-like skin. When she stopped to watch it more closely, the pattern seemed to shift, revealing a face contorted in pain. Mara blinked and shook her head, wondering if exhaustion was playing tricks on her. The house was stiflingly silent, save for the drumming of the rain on the roof. But then she heard it again. Someone, or something, whispering her name. Mara froze, listening intently. Was it the wind? Had a bird flown in through an open window? Or was someone, or something, deliberately trying to get her attention? Cautiously, she ventured further inside, following the sound. The whispers grew louder. They seemed to be coming from behind the wallpaper, from within the very walls of the house. Mara reached out to touch it and recoiled as if burned. The whispers intensified, morphing into panicked gasps and choked screams. Then just as suddenly as they began, they stopped. Mara stood there for a moment, her heart pounding in her chest, wondering if she should run. But then curiosity got the better of her. What was that noise? Why did it sound like it was coming from inside the wall? She followed the whispering wallpaper into the living room, where it continued along the frieze above the fireplace. As she moved from room to room, the wallpaper seemed to guide her through the maze of hallways, beckoning her forward. Finally, it led her to a closed door at the end of the hall. The doorknob was cold to the touch. Mara hesitated, wondering if she should open it. Whatever was hiding behind that door, it didn't want her to find it. Whoever had sealed it shut had done so with the intention of keeping whatever was behind the door trapped. But why? What was so terrible that it couldn't be allowed to escape? Her fingers trembled as she turned the knob. The door creaked open, revealing a small, dark room. As her eyes adjusted to the gloom, she could see a single figure standing in the corner. Mara called out, "Hello, is anyone there?" Her voice echoed in the silence. There was no reply. The figure remained motionless, and Mara wondered if it was a statue. Taking a hesitant step forward, she gasped as the figure stirred and slowly turned to face her. On the wall behind it, The wallpaper seemed to pulsate, the faces leering down at her with hungry eyes. Mara backed away, stumbling over the threshold and falling to her knees. What was that thing? Why was it whispering her name? And why did it seem so desperate to keep her from finding it? She fumbled for her phone, its bright screen cutting through the gloom. As she shone it into the corner, the thing cowered, pressing itself against the wall. But even in the dim light, Mara could make out its shape. It was humanoid, hunched over and wrapped in a blanket. With shaking hands, she got to her feet and approached cautiously. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. The thing didn't answer, but as she drew closer, she could hear ragged breathing. As she neared, the thing began to tremble, and Mara instinctively stepped back. Fear constricted her throat. Was it contagious? Should she run? But then the creature began to speak. Its voice was raspy and weak. "Please," it rasped, "don't hurt me." Mara felt a pang of sympathy. It didn't mean her any harm. "I won't hurt you," she promised, kneeling down beside it. The thing flinched, burying its face in the blanket. "Who are you?" Mara asked softly. "What happened to you?" There was a long silence. The creature continued to tremble, and Mara could hear sniffles. "I'm sorry," it whispered, its voice cracking. "I didn't mean to scare you. I just wanted to talk to someone." "Why?" Mara asked, reaching out a tentative hand. "You don't remember me," the creature said, looking up at her with wide, fearful eyes. "But I remember you. You used to visit me when I was a child. Do you not remember?" It felt like a punch to the gut. This was her aunt's house, but how could this creature know her name? Could it be? Mara felt a chill crawl up her spine. What if she wasn't adopted? What if this creature was her real aunt? But then she noticed the creature's blank stare, the way its eyes seemed to lack focus. Mara swallowed, her gaze dropping to the creature's hands. They were gnarled and twisted, like the roots of some ancient tree, with long, sharp nails that scraped against the floor. As she watched, horrified, the creature began to transform, its body contorting and growing thinner. Its limbs stretched and warped, taking on an otherworldly shape. The blanket fell away, revealing a patchwork of rotting flesh and sinew. Mara screamed and scrambled back, knocking over a nearby chair. The creature snarled, baring rows of needle-like teeth. With a speed that belied its decrepit form, it lunged for her, knocking her off balance and sending her sprawling onto the floor. The wallpaper peeled away from the wall, tendrils snaking across the ceiling and down toward her like grasping claws. The creature loomed over her, its rancid breath washing over her face, and whispered, "Finally, someone to play with." Mara stared up at it, paralyzed with fear, as the last vestiges of the modern world bled away around her, replaced by the cold, blue-tinged static of another time. The door to the room clicked shut, locking her in with the creature. Outside, the wind screamed, rattling the windows of the old house. Inside, the creature laughed, a sound that was both alien and familiar, echoing through the halls like a death knell. The door at the bottom of the stairs creaked open, and Mara stepped inside, letting out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Musty air, like old books and damp stone, rushed over her, and as her eyes adjusted to the gloom, she saw that the basement was even more expansive than it had appeared from above. But there was something else. Something was wrong. She had only meant to come down here to check for a power panel, something that might help restore electricity to the manor. But now she wasn't so sure. There were long, dark corridors branching off in all directions, each blocked by a wall of dusty boxes or a haphazardly stacked pile of old tires. Here and there, a single bare bulb hung from the ceiling, casting a feeble circle of light that did little to pierce the gloom. But what drew Mara's attention most were the dozens of boxy CRT TV monitors lined up against one wall. Their screens flickered with snowy static, but when she neared them, she saw that they weren't displaying random noise. Each TV showed a distorted version of herself moving through the grounds of the manor. There was young Mara playing near the fountain, her blonde pigtails bouncing as she skipped rope with unseen friends. There she was again, standing on the stone steps leading up to the house, laughing as she threw handfuls of leaves into the air. And here she was in the rose garden, her small hand reaching out to touch a flower that didn't exist, its velvety petals seemingly made of darkness. It was like looking at half-remembered dreams, scenes both familiar and alien. And then she noticed something else. In each scene, Mara was doing something she had no memory of. There was the time she stood in the center of the rose garden and danced, twirling until she fell to her knees, her dress catching on a thorny bush. There she was again, walking hand in hand with a boy she'd never seen before. His hair the color of autumn leaves, his face obscured by the shadows of a wide-brimmed hat. And here she was in the library, climbing up on a ladder to reach a high shelf, pulling out a book bound in human skin, its pages filled with disturbing sketches that she couldn't bring herself to look at for too long. As Mara watched, mesmerized, the scenes on the screens began to change. The image on the TV closest to her showed the girl dancing in the rose garden fall to her knees. And as she did, the other monitors flickered, the images shifting and overlapping. A second girl, her face pale and drawn, slipped between the rose bushes, watching from the shadows. Then the image changed again, and the second girl stepped out from behind the roses, her eyes wide with fear as she ran down a corridor, her footsteps echoing on the stone floor. Mara recognized that corridor. It was the one she was standing in now. In the next instant, the girl slipped between the flickering flames of a fireplace and vanished. Then Mara felt it, a cold, unseen presence brush against her leg. She whirled around, half expecting to see a ghost, but there was nothing there except dust motes dancing in the faint light. Yet the feeling of being watched, of unseen eyes boring into her, sent a shiver down her spine. Then she heard it, the sound of childish laughter echoing through the basement, bouncing off the stone walls, growing louder and closer. And as the sound grew, the images on the TV screens changed once more. Young Mara could be seen running down the corridor, her laughter echoing after her. But this time the scene was different. Instead of running alone, she was followed by two other girls, their faces pale and drawn, their eyes vacant. They were identical, yet somehow different, like reflections in a funhouse mirror. As the three girls approached, the one in the middle stumbled and fell to her knees. She looked up at Mara, her eyes wide with terror, and whispered, "Don't let them take me. Please, Mara, help me." Then the image shifted, and the girl was gone. In her place was a twisted, distorted version of Mara. Her eyes black and soulless, her mouth stretched into a terrifying grin. The creature lunged toward the camera, its claws extended, and then the image cut to static. For a moment, Mara stood frozen, the pleas of the ghost girl echoing in her ears. Then she shook her head, dismissing the vision as a trick of her overactive imagination. She had been trapped in this decaying manor for weeks, cut off from the outside world, sleeping fitfully, and eating little more than stale crackers. Of course, she was seeing things. It was bound to happen eventually. With a deep breath, she pushed past the TVs and continued deeper into the basement, determined to find the source of the strange whispers and unearthly laughter. The air grew colder as she walked, the temperature dropping several degrees. Through the gloom, she saw a faint glow ahead and hurried toward it. As she rounded a corner, she gasped. Before her stood a massive stone archway, its surface covered with strange symbols that seemed to writhe and twist in the flickering torchlight. On the far side, the arch framed a view of a vast cavern, its ceiling lost in the darkness above. But it was what was happening within the cavern that truly stole Mara's breath away. Groups of children, no more than 8 or 9 years old, were racing back and forth, chasing each other through the torchlit caverns. Some were playing a game that involved throwing handfuls of dirt at each other, while others raced on makeshift wooden carts down the cavern floor. Most of the children were naked, but a few wore tattered, filthy clothes that hung in rags from their thin bodies. All of them seemed oblivious to Mara's presence, their laughter and shouts echoing through the cavern. Then she noticed something strange. The children weren't simply running around the room. They were running in loops, caught in endless repetitions of past actions. A group of boys would hurl dirt at each other, then stop abruptly as if startled by an unseen presence. Then they'd start again, throwing dirt with renewed vigor. A girl would trip and fall, then scramble to her feet and run off, only to fall again in the same spot a moment later. And every so often, a new child would appear, running frantically through the cavern, always in the same direction, never making it further than the next loop. One of the children, a boy with hair the color of autumn leaves, paused in his game and turned toward Mara. His face was pale and drawn, his eyes wide and dark. For a moment he stared at her, and Mara felt a strange sense of familiarity, as if she had known him once upon a time. Then the boy turned and ran, disappearing into the shadows. As Mara watched, mesmerized, another child came into view, a girl with long, tangled hair, who skipped through the cavern, humming a tuneless melody. She too seemed to sense Mara's presence, and she stopped, her head tilting as she regarded Mara with large, luminous eyes. Then she smiled, revealing teeth that were far too sharp and numerous. And she spoke, her voice a raspy whisper. "Why have you come here, Mara? Don't you know this place is dangerous?" Mara hesitated, torn between a desire to escape and a morbid curiosity about the ghostly children and the secrets of the manor. But then the girl spoke again, and her voice took on a desperate edge. "You can't stay here. You have to leave before it's too late." With that, the girl turned and disappeared into the shadows, joining the endless loop of children running through the cavern. Mara wanted to call out to her, to ask questions, but no sound came out of her throat. She felt a sudden overwhelming urge to flee, to escape from the oppressive darkness of the basement and the spectral children that haunted it. But as she turned to go, she noticed something she hadn't seen before. In the distance, at the far end of the cavern, a faint light flickered, beckoning to her like a distant star. Hope surged through her. Maybe there was a way out, a way to escape the basement and the ghosts that haunted it. With renewed determination, she started toward the light. As she walked, the children in the caverns seemed to become more agitated, their laughter rising to a cacophony of screams. Some of them began to run toward Mara, their eyes wide and filled with a terrible hunger. She quickened her pace, her heart pounding in her chest. The children screamed in frustration as she passed them, their grasps snagging on her clothes, their nails scratching her arms and neck. But Mara pressed on, desperate to escape their grasp. Finally, she reached the end of the cavern and saw a narrow passageway leading into the darkness. Without hesitation, she crawled through, the children's screams echoing behind her. When she finally emerged on the other side, she found herself in a long, narrow room lit by flickering candelabers. At the far end, a single door stood ajar, and as Mara approached, she heard voices coming from within. She hesitated, then pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room was circular, its walls lined with bookshelves filled with ancient tomes bound in leather and metal. In the center of the room stood a massive stone altar, and on it lay a single object, a silver locket. Mara crossed the room and picked it up, its surface cool and smooth under her fingertips. As she did, the candle flames sputtered and died, plunging the room into darkness. Then from the shadows a voice spoke, its tone cold and emotionless. "So you finally found me, Mara. It's been a long time coming." Mara whirled around, her heart pounding, and saw a figure emerge from the darkness. Tall and slender, with skin like alabaster and eyes that burned like hot coals. The figure glided toward Mara, and as it came closer, its features sharpened, resolving into the face of a woman Mara had seen before, the woman who had greeted her when she first arrived at the manor. "Are you?" Mara whispered, her voice shaking. The woman smiled, a cruel, mirthless expression that sent chills down Mara's spine. "I am the keeper of this house," she said, her voice like the rustling of dry leaves. "And you, Mara, are its newest prisoner." With that, the woman lunged, her nails extended, and Mara screamed as the static on the screen in front of her coalesced. Forming her face, her mouth stretching into a silent scream. "You never left," it whispered. "Let's start with No. 5. Jasper, one of my favorite tools that is completely free to use. So here's what you can do. Here we go. We have templates such as blog post, outlines, blog post introduction. Let's go into the templates. Tons of stuff. You can create your own templates as well. This is awesome. You can import your own documents, have it summarize them. Or if you want to just get ideas from scratch, then you can click on ideas. Like let's say I want some blog post ideas. There you go. Blog post ideas. And let's say I want to write an article about space travel. Bam, there you go. You have a whole bunch of titles. Not bad. What's also cool is the tone changer. Let's say I have this text right here. I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to paste it right here. Let's say I want this to sound more professional. Boom, done, professional. Let's say I want this to sound more like a casual conversation. Done, casual. Now, if I want to change the tone of this document here, I'll click on the settings, and then I'll click on tone. I'll select something else. Maybe I want this to sound more like a tweet. That sounds pretty good. Let's save it. It sounds like a tweet. Let's see how it compares to the original. Oh, pretty good. Now, what else can you do with Jasper? Well, you have tons of templates, such as these ones right here. Well, let's look at something else. Let's go back to templates. Let's click on all templates. Let's look at the other ones. You could even generate images from here. You can translate things. So I can enter my own text, and then I can translate it to any one of these languages. You can generate images from text, and there's so much more. They keep adding new features. It's crazy. All right, number 4, Flicky. I love this one because it allows you to turn your blog posts or any type of text into an animated video. Here's what you can do. Let's go ahead and sign up for a free account. We're going to click on Start Creating. And now we're going to add our first asset, which is our text. I've already created a short text just so we can test this out. Let's go ahead and copy it. I'm going to paste it right here. Now it's detected the language. We're going to leave everything else as is. And then we're going to click on Choose Character. So here's what it looks like. We have different avatars that we can choose from. I'm going to go with this one for now. Click on Next. Now we can choose the background. We'll just stick with this one. We'll click on Next. And now we can set the duration. Basically, how fast do we want this thing to go? I think this is fine. We're going to click on Next. Now we can record the screen. You don't need to do this. I'm just doing this so I can show you guys. We're going to click on Record, and then we're going to click on Start Recording. Here's the video. Okay, let's stop. Now let's go ahead and preview it. Let's see how this looks. The top 5 free AI tools that you should be using in 2025. Number 5, Jasper. One of my favorite tools that is completely free to use. You can generate images, you can translate things, you can generate images from text, you can do so much more. All right, this looks good. Let's download it. Let's go ahead and download it. It says downloading. Let's go ahead and open it. Here's our video. It's insane. I love this. Okay, let's check this out. Let's play it. Check this out. The top 5 free AI tools that you should be using in 2025. Number 5, Jasper. One of my favorite tools that is completely free to use.
Ow!
So here's what you can do. Here we go. We have templates such as blog post outlines, blog post introduction. I mean, I can't believe how good this is. This is really cool. All right, number 3, Light Cafe. If you've been following me for a while now, you've probably heard me talk about this one quite a bit. This is basically ChatGPT built into your browser. You can use it anywhere. It's awesome. Let me show you how it works. Let's say I want to write an email asking for a day off. I'm going to write my prompt right here, then I'm going to click on the icon. Let's go ahead and click on Answer. There you go. You have a whole bunch of answers. These are really good. Let's save this one right here. Let's insert it, and there you go. I mean, I couldn't have written it better myself. What else can I do with Light Cafe? Well, I can do pretty much anything that I can do with ChatGPT. I can ask it questions. What's the weather like today? I can ask it to summarize things. Can you summarize this article? And there you go. It summarizes it. I can ask it to generate lists, generate outlines. Look at this. You have an entire outline. What's also cool is that you can highlight things. So let's say I want to create a YouTube title. I'll highlight it. I'll click on the icon, and then I'll click on Answer. Now I get titles based on that specific thing. So it's understanding the context. It's highlighting the main points, and it's generating titles based on that. It's incredible. All right, now. 2, Text. This is a Chrome extension that allows you to summarize web pages. Let's say I want to summarize this page right here. I'll simply click on the extension. Let's go ahead and click on Summarize. Now I have a small version. I can click on Read More to see the full version. It gives you key points, bullet points, and then it gives you a summary. And if you want to summarize an entire website, you can do that as well. So let's go back to the home page. Let's say I want to summarize this entire website. We'll click on the extension. Let's go ahead and click on Summarize. Now I have a summary of the entire website right here. Key points, bullet points. I mean, this is great. You can use this to research things. So if you're doing research and you want to summarize a whole bunch of articles, you can do that. Let's say I want to summarize this one right here. It's kind of long. Let's click on it. Let's click on Summarize. There you go. Gives you the bullet points. Gives you a summary. What's also cool is the tone changer. So I can select the text. I can change the tone of it. Let's say I want this to sound more casual. More casual. Let's see what it sounds like. I mean, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. What else can you do with this? Well, you can also translate things. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to click on Translate. I'm going to click on French. And now I have it in French. You can even generate lists. So if I want to generate a list of French movies, I can do that. Let's go ahead and click on Generate List. Give me 5 French movies. You have a whole bunch of lists. Let's go ahead and click on Generate List again. Give me 5 French restaurants in Paris. This is really good, okay? Before we get to know. 1. If you're finding value in this video, please hit the like button. It helps out a lot. All right, now. 1. 10-minute mail. This is a temporary email service that gives you an email address that only lasts for 10 minutes. Okay, here's what you can do with it. Let us say I want to sign up for a website, but I do and want to give away my real email address. I'm just going to type in 10-minute mail, and then I'm going to click on this one right here. I'm going to click on this button right here. I now have an email address that is valid for 10 minutes. Let's go back to the website. Let's say I want to sign up. Here's where I would put in my email address. I'll paste it in right here. So now they have my email address. But after 10 minutes, it will expire. Let's go to our inbox. Here's our email. Let's click on it. Here's the message. Let's go back to the website. Let's click on Profile. It says no user found with that email address because it doesn't exist anymore. It expired. Why would you want to use a temporary email address like this? Maybe you're signing up for a website that you don't trust. Maybe you're re-signing up for a newsletter and you do, and want to give away your real email address. Maybe you want to protect your privacy. Whatever the case may be, 10-minute mail is a great tool to have in your arsenal. Now I want to hear from you. Which one of these tools are you most excited about? Leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Mara confronted her own reflection. It was the doll-like mirror image that had never left. She searched for a way out of this room, found none, and so did the only thing she could think of. She smashed the mirror, and when the shards fell away, the doll was gone. And in its place stood Mara. But it wasn't the Mara who had stepped into the house. This Mara had bloodshot eyes, dirt smeared across her face, hair like a tangled spider web clinging to her shoulders. She stared at her hands. They were the same, yet not. The nails, once painted a garish pink, were now bare and bitten to the quick. And something glinted on her index fingers, a wedding band and an inscription inside the lip. To my darling Marianne from her devoted Thomas. Thomas, she thought. The name surfaced unbidden in her mind, bringing with it a flash of memory, a dimly lit room, the smell of mildew and old books, a desk piled high with papers and parchment. There he sat behind it, Thomas, with his slicked back hair and pale blue eyes. He smiled at her, his lips splitting his face in two. There you are, he said. I've been looking for you everywhere. And then Mara woke up. She was lying on the floor, the cold stone pressing into her cheek. She blinked against the darkness. What was that? A dream, she hoped. She scrambled to her feet, heart pounding. Where was she? The room swam into focus. It was the nursery, or what had once been the nursery. Cobwebs hung from the tattered remnants of the nursery rhyme mobile above her head. Dust lay thick on the rocking horse, its glassy eyes staring sightlessly ahead. Its coat caked with what looked like dried blood. She shuddered and turned away. Then she noticed a shape in the corner, something half buried in the debris. She crossed the room and knelt beside it. Something hard protruded from beneath the rubble, a smooth, flat surface, rectangular, like a picture frame, but larger, wider, thicker. She brushed the dust away to reveal an ornate gold mirror. No, or what had once been ornate. Now, it was tarnished. The glass cracked in spiderweb fractures. She reached out to touch it, then stopped. Her fingers hovered a heartbeat above the grime and the cracks. Then she pushed aside the cobwebs and pressed her palms against the cool glass. It felt real. So real, hope surged through her. Maybe there was a way out of this house after all. Maybe she could escape the endless hallways, the phantom footsteps. The oppressive silence broken only by the drip, drip, drip of water somewhere in the unseen recesses of the house. But when she pushed the mirror open, it didn't budge. She tried again, harder this time, and it swung inward. Behind it, the hallway stretched on, dark and featureless. As far as she could see, it went on forever. She peered deeper into its murky depths. Nothing. Only darkness. Was this some kind of trick? A cruel joke played by whoever or whatever inhabited this house? She wanted to scream, to smash the mirror, to claw at the darkness, to find a way out. And then she saw something glimmering at the end of the hall. Pinpoint of light, like a star pricking the black cloth of night. Hope flared anew. Maybe there was an exit after all. Maybe she would find the front door, escape into the night, flee while she still could. She stepped into the hall and walked toward the light. It led her to a door, and on the other side of it, freedom, or so she thought. When she reached out to open it, the airlock hissed, sealing the door shut. Trapped once more, she rattled the handle. It didn't budge. She kicked at it, then slumped to the floor, defeated. Why bother? No one was coming to save her. There was no one else in the world who knew she was here, or if they did, no one who cared enough to come looking for her. Was alone, utterly and completely alone. What was she supposed to do now? She stayed there for a long time, sitting in the darkness, listening to the echoes in the hallway, the drip, drip, drip of water, the sigh of the wind through the broken window panes. Then slowly, ever so slowly, the blackness began to recede. Colors returned, shapes sharpened into focus, sounds faded into silence. She was back in the nursery, surrounded by the clutter of her childhood. And then she saw it. Tucked beneath the rocking horse, half hidden in the dust, lay a small wooden box, ornately carved and bound with leather. What was this place? Who was she? She remembered a name, Mara. Her name was Mara. That much she knew. But how did she get here? How did she get trapped in this house with its endless hallways and its grotesque inhabitants? The questions echoed in the silence unanswered. She searched for another way out, finding none. So she did the only thing she could think of. She opened the box. Inside, nestled on a bed of faded velvet, lay a birth certificate, or what was once a birth certificate. The paper was brittle, the ink faded, but just enough remained for her to make out the name scrunched at the bottom of the page. Mara. Her finger traced the curve of the M, swirl of the A. Underneath, written in a spidery hand, she read, "Born in the Manor of Whispering Pines, July 18, 1985. The manor, of course. How could she have forgotten? Here she was in the manor. It had all come back to her in that moment. The manicured gardens, the towering gateposts, the scent of honeysuckle and fresh-cut grass. She had been so happy then, carefree, laughing. She had friends, real friends, and a family who loved her, or so she thought, until the day everything changed. Until the day she discovered the truth about the manor, about herself, about the legacy that bound her to this place. She remembered the whispers, the townspeople huddling in the shadows, pointing. Beware the manor, beware its secrets, beware what lies within. Oh, she'd been too young to understand then, but now the words echoed in her mind with a terrible clarity. What did they know? What secrets did the manor hold? Why was she drawn to it? Why couldn't she stay away? The answer, she realized, lay buried somewhere in these rooms, trapped in the walls, hidden in plain sight. She had to find it, uncover the truth, even if it meant facing the darkness that haunted these halls, the darkness that whispered her name. Mara walked into the hallway, the echo of footsteps following close behind her. She passed the mirror, the one that showed her the face of a stranger, and stepped into the darkness. The walls shuddered, the floorboards groaned. Light burst from the sockets, bathing the hall in strobing flashes. Then everything collapsed. The walls caved in, the ceiling fell away. The manor shuddered, a strangled cry escaping its broken lips. She landed on the soft earth, the sky a bruised purple above her. The trees of the whispering pines swayed in the night breeze, their branches clawing at the fading light. Below them, a silver ribbon unfurled, a winding path leading to a weathered stone cottage. Smoke curled from its chimney, promising warmth and shelter. Hope bloomed in Mara's chest, fragile, tentative. Could this be it? Was this where she belonged? But then the ground beneath her rumbled. The manor reformed, groaning, shuddering, its wounds knitting together under the watchful gaze of the pines. The walls rose, the roof mended, the windows reset. In the hall, the floorboards sighed, the mirror righted itself. Everything was as it had been before, as if nothing had happened, as if she had never been here at all. And then she looked down at her shirt. The manor's crest blazed on her chest, seared onto her skin. "The echo found me," she whispered, and the manor sighed, content.